Welcome! Today we're going to make homemade candy canes, a festive treat perfect for the holidays. Ready to dive into making these sweet treats? Let's get started. Let's start by gathering our ingredients for homemade candy canes. You'll need 2 cups of granulated sugar, which forms the base of our candy. Next, get half a cup of light corn syrup to help prevent crystallization. We also need half a cup of water to dissolve the sugar and a pinch of salt to enhance the flavors. For a touch of minty freshness, use 1/2 teaspoon of peppermint extract. To give our candy canes that classic red color, have some red food coloring ready. This is optional. Finally, 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar will help to stabilize the sugar mixture. And don't forget a tablespoon of butter to grease your work surface. Ready to get started? Let's go! First, let's prepare our work surface. You'll need a marble or granite countertop, but if you don't have one, a large non-stick baking sheet will work too. Lightly grease the surface with about a tablespoon of butter. This will prevent the candy from sticking when we pour it out later. If you're using a countertop, make sure it's clean and free from any debris. If you're using a baking sheet, just make sure it's big enough to handle the candy as it cools. Greasing the surface is a crucial step to ensure our candy canes come off easily later. Now, let's move on to cooking the sugar mixture. In a heavy-bottom saucepan, combine 2 cups of granulated sugar, half a cup of light corn syrup, half a cup of water, and a pinch of salt. Place the pan over medium heat and start stirring gently. The goal here is to dissolve the sugar completely before we move on. Keep stirring occasionally to prevent the sugar from burning. Once the sugar is dissolved, attach your candy thermometer to the side of the pan, making sure it doesn't touch the bottom. Continue heating the mixture without stirring until it reaches 300 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the hard crack stage. This step is crucial because it ensures the candy will harden properly. Watch the thermometer closely and be patient. This process might take a few minutes, so use this time to prepare your peppermint extract and food coloring if you're using them. Once the candy mixture has reached 300 degrees Fahrenheit, carefully remove the pan from the heat. Be cautious as the mixture is extremely hot. Stir in 1/2 teaspoon of peppermint extract for that classic minty flavor. If you want to add color, divide the mixture into 2 portions. To 1 portion, add a few drops of red food coloring and mix well. The red portion will give us that festive candy cane stripe. If you're keeping it simple, you can skip the food coloring and just use the white candy mixture. Now pour the candy mixture onto the greased surface you prepared earlier. Let it cool for a few minutes until it's just cool enough to handle, but still pliable. During this time, you can prepare for the next step by greasing your hands or using a spatula to handle the candy. When the candy is cool enough to handle but still soft, start pulling and stretching it. This process is known as pulling the candy, and it helps to make it shiny and pliable. If you've divided the candy into 2 colors, pull each portion separately. Stretch and fold the candy until it becomes shiny and slightly stiff. This can take about 10 minutes, so be patient. Once the candy is ready, divide it into 2 portions if you haven't done so already. Roll each portion into a long rope about 1/2 inch thick. Place the white and red rope side by side and gently twist them together to create a striped effect. Use a rolling pin if needed to flatten and shape the candy. Cut the twisted rope into small sections to form the candy canes. Use scissors or a knife to shape the ends into the classic candy cane hook. Allow the candy canes to cool completely before handling. Finally, let the candy canes cool completely and harden before you try to handle them. This may take several hours, so be patient. The cooling process is important as it allows the candy to set properly and hold its shape. Once they're cool, your homemade candy canes are ready to be enjoyed or packaged as gifts. Store them in an airtight container to keep them fresh. If you have any leftover candy, you can also crush it and use it as a topping for ice cream or baked goods. And that's it. You've made your own candy canes. And lastly, here are a few tips to ensure your homemade candy canes turn out perfectly. First, make sure your candy thermometer is accurate. This is crucial for reaching the correct temperature, 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 150 degrees Celsius. If you don't have a thermometer, you can use a cold water test. Drop a small amount of candy into cold water to check if it forms hard threads. Work quickly once your candy mixture reaches the right temperature, as it will harden fast. To handle the hot candy safely, use heat-resistant gloves or utensils. If you're using food coloring, add it after removing the pan from heat to avoid any color changes due to high temperatures. If you find the candy is getting too hard while you're pulling it, you can gently reheat it over low heat to make it more pliable. And remember, if you're using a countertop, keep it clean and well-greased to prevent sticking. Finally, let your candy canes cool completely before handling them to ensure they set properly and retain their shape. Happy candy making!